Well, good morning to you all on Thursday, the 16th of August. I have argued publicly for many years in support of the Rock Eistedfodd. It is a national performing arts event for schools that's meant to motivate young Australians to make positive and healthy lifestyle choices. Indeed, its website says of the Eistedfodd that it is a unique and exciting opportunity for schools to take part in a dance, drama and design spectacular where the students are the stars. Nothing about propaganda or political biases. And yet this Rock Eistedfodd Challenge, which is what it's called, involves nearly 400 Australian schools and 30,000 students. And months out from an election, what a fertile ground for teachers to plough their political prejudices into the minds of impressionable young first-time voters. In the past, believing in the performing arts as a beneficial instrument for education, I've helped raise money for the Rock Eistedfodd, and at times when government money has not been forthcoming, I've been an advocate on their behalf and hopefully, if I may say so, successful. But quite frankly, I'm just getting tired of the politicisation of all of this and the gutlessness with which organisers seem to condone politicisation. Davidson High School in Sydney is at it again, not for the first time. Their performance this year is a protest against President George Bush at the APEC Forum. Apparently their production depicts President Bush as the pilot in a crashing plane, and then the usual, attacking the US involvement in Iraq. This was all conceived by a Davidson High School teacher, who of course defends it. They always do. This is the sort of creative freedom they seek, no matter the extent to which that freedom is abused. They were at it in 2004 as well, with a production called Bad Night in Baghdad. And if you're to believe what you're told, this year's 5-part act opens with President Bush as the pilot of a plane about to crash, before going into a segment entitled I'll Go Anywhere to Fight for Oil to Lubricate the Red, White and Blue. And 99 students in years 7 to 11 are being indoctrinated with all this, which means children as young as 12 are involved. Now here again, the Education Department doesn't seem to have a clue where it stands. It has defended the production, saying it was an extracurricular activity and formed no part of the school's academic program. No, just used the educational experience to pump kids' heads full of propaganda. What this teacher at Davidson High knows about the war in Iraq, President Bush, what the war has achieved or not achieved, I've got no idea, but I suspect the answer is not much. But interestingly, earlier this month, school principals received a strong warning from the same Education Department not to allow their schools to be infiltrated by controversial political issues. Indeed, it was written by a senior official, senior education officer, telling primary and secondary school principals, and I quote, "Schools are not places for recruiting into partisan groups." Now remember last year political propaganda was distributed in schools against the Howard government's work choices laws. So at the beginning of this month, education chiefs are warning us that school children are in danger of having their minds poisoned by political activity in the classroom. Yet here we are with this so-called Rock Eistedfodd, involving 99 students from Davidson High, years 7 to 11, some as young as 12, and the message basically that Bush is a murderer and he only went into Iraq for its oil. It's one thing to have strong opinions about the world and what's going on, but if students turn to their teachers for propaganda rather than objective assistance, then you have to question what the educational experience is all about. And of course, the piece is not just criticism of President Bush, but of our involvement in the war in Iraq. Rankly political, rankly anti-Howard and anti-Bush. And of course, in a few months' time, some of these kids will vote. There's no reason why students should not hold views which are critical of the war in Iraq. But encouraging those views to be presented, moulded and shaped by a teacher at an Eistedfodd surely places propaganda way in front of performance. I note one report reminding us that the Davidson High School motto is wisely, sincerely. Neither of those laudable objectives is being observed in this behaviour. And of course, at the end of the day, it surely is no surprise that parents are taking their children out of public schools. An education department that tells us at the beginning of the month that schools are not places for political activity, or, quote, schools are neutral grounds for rational discourse and objective study. They are not arenas for opposing political views or ideologies. That was the department at the beginning of the month. Now the same department says this production's okay. It's an extracurricular activity which is no part of the school's academic program. Well, as with many things in education in New South Wales, it's most probably the department that needs a shakeout before we start worrying about Davidson High. I'm Alan Jones.